What's up guys, I'm just going to jump straight into it because I feel like this video is already going to be long enough. I have a video on my channel called some of my favourite mods. Quite frankly, I'm quite embarrassed about it. I spent most of the video in an armor's workbench, also I hardly covered any mods. But for some reason, it's one of my more popular videos. So today I'm going to be attempting to redeem myself by going over my top 5 favourite mods I will never uninstall. These are in no particular order, just 5 mods that I really enjoy. And the first mod we're going to be looking at is Agony. Now for some reason in Fallout 4, stim packs seem to be this amazing device that can do everything. Heal your wounds, revive your companions, heck they can even heal your bones. I mean that's just not realistic. But that's okay because we're going to be fixing this issue. When you break a limb now, you're going to require either a first aid kit or a surgery kit. Using either one of these items will result in a very satisfying animation. The surgery kit will look like this. And result in the following debuffs, most of which are treatable. Blood loss can be fixed with a blood pack, but don't take too many of them because you'll go into cardiac arrest. Pain can be treated with painkillers, but don't take too many else you'll become addicted. Open wounds can be fixed with a clean bandage. This will result in a fresh wound which will heal over time. And of course, don't use dirty bandages as this might result in you getting a disease. Now if you don't feel like micromanaging all of these tiny debuffs, then you better hope you've got some good luck and find a first aid kit. That, or you can craft one at a chem station. Using a first aid kit will play a very similar animation, but more importantly, less debuffs. What I like most about this mod is it adds some much needed realism into the game. You need to be on the lookout for the right medical supply for the right thing that's wrong with you. Gone are the days of magical stim packs and antibiotics that can cure anything. Now if you get a disease, you're going to need the right supply for it. Now all antibiotics are going to do is cure infection. Sleeping aid will cure your insomnia, but it is addictive. Anodine will cure fatigue. And antiparasitic will of course cure parasites. Stimulants will cure lethargy. And energy pills will cure weakness. All in all, I much prefer this system to the vanilla game. It's much more realistic. Now initially I was a bit hesitant on downloading this mod. I thought it would make the game a bit too difficult, but it actually feels quite natural and fits really well. Many of these supplies can be found on most of the enemies you kill, or from most merchants. Naturally, this mod works best when playing in survival, because in non-survival you don't catch diseases, so half of the supplies are completely useless. One thing to bear in mind when using this mod, since stim packs no longer heal bones, breaking them is much more significant. If you break your legs in the middle of a gunfight, then this could very well be the end of you, especially if you don't have any surgery kits or first aid kits. This adds a real sense of fear around not breaking your bones, and really adds value to the adamantium skeleton perk. I wouldn't say that it becomes a necessity to have this perk, but it really helps. Also, I found myself using the reduced damage to limb modification on my armour, which before this mod I never used, because even if they did break, I could just use a stim pack. But anyway, I think that just about covers it for Agony. On to the next mod. Now I'm sure this is a mod that 99% of you are already using, if not already heard of, but it's a mod that I can't live without, and that mod is Enhanced Lights and Effects. What this mod is going to do is completely overhaul the way that lighting works, attempting to create an entirely new atmosphere. Now there really isn't much to say about this mod, as technically it only does one thing, but see for yourself. The difference is like night and day. I mean, there's a reason why this is one of the most popular mods on the Nexus. So I'm not going to spend too long talking about it, when again, I'm sure that all of you have this one downloaded. And if you don't, it's one of the few mods that I definitely recommend for any kind of Fallout you're trying to build. Honestly, I think the visuals here do a better job at explaining this than I do. Carry weight in Fallout 4 can be a serious issue, especially if you're playing on survival mode. Now you could just use console and cheat, but where's the fun in that? So to fix this issue in a balanced, lore-friendly way, we're going to be using the mod Backpacks of the Commonwealth. What this mod is going to do is add 15 unique backpacks into the Commonwealth, each with their own stats and upgrades. Now there's a lot of backpack mods, so what made me choose this one over any of the others? And the answer to that is quite simple. A lot of mods simply put their backpacks in the chem station, which is fine, but what this one does is it actually adds it to the wasteland. There is also an option to add these into the level list, but we'll discuss that later. After creating your character and loading into the wasteland for the first time, you'll be given the Backpacks of the Commonwealth magazine. You'll then be asked how frequently you would like backpacks to appear in your game. The default is 0. This means that backpacks will only spawn in specific areas. Personally, I recommend 5%. This means 1 in 20 enemies you kill will have a backpack, but even this feels a bit too high. But let's say you want to alter these settings mid playthrough. In your inventory, you'll find a holotape where you can alter the settings. Another thing I really like about these backpacks is all of them are completely customizable. They might not have the most customizations out of every backpack mod in the world, but it's still better than nothing. Now each backpack is going to have its own set of upgrade options. This could be any number of carry capacity, colour, straps, each of which have their own perk requirements. Now the models for these backpacks are fantastic, and some of them are really creative. This, for example, is the Tinkerer's backpack, but maybe this isn't for you. Perhaps it's too big and too bulky. Then might I recommend the Wastelander's backpack instead. This isn't going to provide as much carry weight as the other backpack, but at least it's not as big. And that's what I love about this mod. You can always find a backpack that you like. Whether you find one that's too big or too small, you're always bound to find one eventually that you really like. And with all the different customization options available, you can really tailor your backpack to the way you want to play. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers it for this mod. On to the next one. And this is a mod that ever since I installed, I've never wanted to uninstall. And that mod is Flora FX Overhaul. What this mod is going to do is add some realism to the trees of the Commonwealth. Leaves will now periodically fall off of them, making for a much more realistic environment. Now you're probably thinking that having trees with leaves constantly falling off of them can't be realistic, but from my experience it doesn't feel like the trees are just constantly losing their leaves. Instead, it makes them feel like they're much more alive. Unfortunately, there isn't a terribly large amount of things to say about Flora FX Overhaul, so let's move on to the next mod. And of course, it wouldn't be a video of mine if I didn't end it off on a weapon mod, and that weapon mod is the AK5C. After arriving in the Commonwealth, you're going to see a brand new notification on your screen. It's going to ask you if you want the magazines and the skins to appear as quests in your quest log. Naturally, I said yes to both, as I'm recording this for a video and I don't want to be here for several days. And to be honest, I want to showcase everything that this mod has to offer. Anyway, to get your hands on this weapon, you're going to have to do a quest first. This is why this is one of my favourite weapons. It's actually added in a lore friendly way. Anyway, simply make your way to the third rail in Goodneighbour. There you can find a note on the table in front of Charlie. Reading the note, we can discover that we now need to head to the Northern Star to investigate a shipment. Specifically, what you're looking for is a metal container which will have a note telling you where you need to go next, and that is going to be the roof of the Gunners Plaza. Now my Gunners Plaza was already cleared out, either from a previous recording or from a previous mission I completed. Either way, be prepared for a serious firefight, as there's a lot of enemies and most of them are very well geared. After arriving on the roof, you're going to find an NPC called Leif Erikson. Kill him and take the AK5C, thus completing the quest. Now if 2 optional quests and 1 main quest isn't enough for you, that's okay. By looting the letter off of his corpse, we will start the next quest. This quest is to find a very unique style of magazine. After reading the note, we discover that we can find the plans for this magazine at Vault 95. Quickly clearing all of the gunners from the outside, we can make our way inside Vault 95. Picking an advanced lock will allow us access to the room with the plans in. There is actually 2 sets of plans in this room, and the first time I did this quest took me a rather embarrassing amount of time to find the second one. But after completing it a couple of times, I now know where it is like the back of my hand. After finding it, we will complete the quest. Now, if you're lucky enough to run through Diamond City on Christmas Day, you'll notice this. Opening the present left for us, we can get our hands on the Snowflake, a unique variation of the AK5C, and of course, completing the Christmas Miracle quest. Right, now that I've spent nearly 3 minutes telling you how to get a copy of this weapon, maybe I should tell you how good it is, and if it's even worth going to all these lengths. And to put it briefly, yes, it's very good. One of my favourite things about this weapon is that it's never heard of recoil, even when holding down the trigger. Call me crazy, but I find that the recoil of a gun is much more important than the damage or the reload speed or any other stat for that matter. And this is because when you're in a firefight, you don't want to be spraying all of your bullets everywhere except where your enemy is. You want to be hitting your enemy. And that's where this weapon shines. You point your crosshairs at an enemy and you're going to hit them. And when you hit them, they're going to feel it because the base damage of this weapon is actually really good. As you can see from this footage, I'm fighting against some pretty high leveled enemies with some pretty decent gear, and this weapon is absolutely shredding them. Granted, I am also playing on a pretty high level character, but even if I wasn't, this weapon would still be doing just as good. Honestly, I think the only thing letting me down here is my aim. And with that, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I just want to say thank you all for getting to this part of the video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in my next video.